Welcome back to another episode of No BS Podcast. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, any other button that lets you know we popping off. If you definitely listening to it on the audio, you can go to iHeart, Pandora, Apple, Google, any major platforms where you can get the audio version. Make sure you download, keep on supporting. And to all our new and old followers, we appreciate you. And today, man, I got a good friend that I know. We work out together. I see him do music all the time. Things be popping off. And I just want to welcome Max to the studio, man.
I appreciate you having me,
What's
bro.
going on, man?
I can't complain, bro. All is good, all is well.
That's what's up, man. What you been up to?
Man, not much, but let's see. Going down the list, of course, you gotta mind the business that pays you first.
Right.
So first things first, got a couple dispensaries that I've been running. Those have been going pretty good, expanding, growing, maintaining, which is, of course, in this climate is a little hard.
Especially, yeah.
Considering the type of product I have, it makes it a little bit harder considering we are in Georgia and they are still, of course.
And they haven't passed some laws of light to really kick off the way you want to.
So, we are, of course, continuing to move past whatever difficulty we run into. But things are good. Outside of that, just keeping my head on straight with the music. Got a project dropping next month, hopefully, if everything pans out right. Soft Girl Era. Got one that I dropped at the beginning of the year.
Soft Girl Era?
Yeah, Soft Girl Era, man.
Explain that title.
Yeah. So I know I'm as I have seen, unfortunately, ruffled a couple feathers with it. I know it's something that as a man, it's not something that I can necessarily live in, of course, but it's something that I have viewed from a bystander standpoint, as far as like my homegirls going through basically this time where they're having a renaissance of healing, of getting better, of being better people, and in being better people, we're able to see a lot better communication. And ultimately, that's like my goal. Back to when I was life coaching, my goal has always been working in my purpose to help heal people through collective understanding. And at one point it was a book. Now it's some music. And if you I found, at least in my experience, if you put it in a way where people can digest it,
right,
and it tastes good to them, sounds good to them, they're more receptive to it.
And you plan on releasing this when?
So Soft Girl Era, I'm planning on releasing it hopefully by end of April.
Okay.
That's what I'm shooting for. Got a couple events, couple things that I want to do for the ladies. Of course, I did the rose thing.
Explain that, because I was on the put this back in my pocket. Yeah, I was on the. It's all raw on this channel. I was on Instagram. Was it Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah, both actually. Yeah.
I was like, that's dope. Like, you just walking up to random women, just giving them a rose.
Most def.
Like, yo, I appreciate you. And you can see someone was receptive enough. Someone was like, what you want?
Yeah, most definitely. It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Like, I think that there's a overwhelming cynicism, collective cynicism when it comes to people, but a lot of times, as a man, from my standpoint, dealing with women, okay, we deal in a culture where a lot of times people are always looking to see what they can get. They're looking to get over. And then also, when you got somebody walking up to you, handing you something with a dude with a camera behind them, you automatically like, am I being pranked?
Right.
So
where is this going?
Exactly. Like, what is he about to do? And then, when I follow it up with, hey, do you mind if I give you a rose for Valentine's Day? You just kind of saw a light go up in their eyes where they were like, wow, I really appreciate somebody seeing me.
Right.
And that's all that it was about. Don't get me wrong, I could have gone to where all the hot girls was, and where all where I knew that the most photogenic shots were going to be shot, right, but I didn't want that. From my standpoint, I wanted to kind of appeal to the every woman. The women who are going to work, the women who are just trying to get through their day to day, and maintain what they have learned and continue to push past what they have, where they have been and who they have been, to be who they can be at their best.
And so that describes on how you really start formulating your music as well.
Most definitely. Yeah, my music is, my artistry, of course, extends from my thought process. It's always one of introspection, always one of, okay, what ways am I affecting this situation? What am I bringing to the situation? How is the situation affecting me? And having that 3D view and having an open perspective to whatever perspectives might disagree or challenge mine, I find myself in a place where I'm better able and better equipped to navigate and manage myself better. As a man who's been through quite a few phases in his life, I've been that guy to, be the I don't know if we can curse on here, but be the fuck boy, be the toxic personality, even when I wasn't intending to. I've also been the bystander to these situations in regards to, my sisters, my cousins, female friends that I have, in terms of seeing the effect that these types of men can have on them.
Now, through them experiences though, right, what was like the major lessons you learned as you grew from being that guy to like, let me just step back and see how I'm affecting and what my role is in putting this toxic behavior out there? What was like the biggest transition or the change you've seen in yourself?
Relinquishing what perceived control I had. I went through a good part of my life feeling like I could control the outcome of most things. Most people who are too smart for their own good usually are that way, if I don't say so myself. But for me, it was realizing in what cases it is all about me, in terms of this is my shit, this is my thing to deal with, this is my situation to handle. And in a lot of other situations, what's not about me. I'm projecting my feelings, my opinions, I'm asserting myself into the situation when in reality it's not my situation or my responsibility to be involved in this situation. Right. And then that's when you find, you muddy the waters, even though you might want to help. I got this song that I played for you earlier, I Should Leave You Alone. And my standpoint that I was coming from writing that song was, on one half, I have myself being the guy who's like, okay, I know that we're not good for each other. And on my part, I'm not good for her.
Right.
But yet and still, I still want to be an ever-present part of her life, right?
Almost like, I'd rather be your friend than hurt you.
Kind of. It's more so like, even I say in the song, like, I should leave you alone, but I know that I can't because you're trying to heal. You're trying to change and you're earnest and you're learning to be discerning, so you don't even entertain. It's more so like they've come to the point where they realize, okay, I know cognitively that and actively that I don't have good intentions for you. All I want is what I can get out of the situation. Whereas on the other hand, I'm sitting here like, in some situations, I have been that guy where I see that you're hurt. I see that you're trying to heal. I see where you are, and I want to help you, but my form of help might not necessarily be conducive or constructive to whatever process you need to go through away from me to be where you need to be.
I know I've been that guy, hurt or no hurt.
Most definitely.
I'm on here for one reason.
Most definitely, dog.
And once I get what I need, I'm gone.
Most def.
It didn't dawn on me, and I was younger then, but it didn't dawn on me that I was playing with people's feelings and emotions.
Most def.
You know what I'm saying? And it took me a while to get there. It took me sitting down with somebody like, hey, why am I like this? You get what I'm saying? Wait, why doesn't that bother me that their feelings even being considered? You get what I'm saying? And once I started discovering who I was, then I started to realize, like, dang, let me call these people back. I'm sorry.
Most definitely.
I didn't mean to do this. I really did. I went down a list of people I felt like really, really loved me at the time, but I couldn't love them the way they was trying to love me, and I had to go back. And I was like, yo, I apologize.
Most definitely.
I mean, I can't be with you, but I just want to let you know this is where I stand, and this is the reason why. And it was never my intentions to hurt you, period.
Most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? If I ever put you in that predicament, most of them was like, that's all I needed to hear.
Most definitely.
Some was like, fuck you.
Of course, of course. Yeah.
I was like, I just want to let you know, either way, I'm sorry.
Most
However you feel, I'm sorry, boo-boo. And it took me a while to get to that point, till I really had daughters, and I'm sitting here like, nah, I need to make sure that this don't happen to them.
Most
that they can emotionally deal with somebody like me or before me. The me before they got put here on this earth. You know what I'm saying? And then what I did like is you had that song Rose, right?
Centerfold. Yeah.
Centerfold.
Oh, Rose in the door. Yeah,
Rose.
yeah. Rose in the door. Yeah,
Yeah, so go ahead and explain that one.
Okay,
That was
so
a dope song.
I appreciate that, man. Like this whole project.
Hold on. Before we go into it, I had a little mini listening party, so y'all might not hear this yet, but when it drop, you're gonna understand.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I received that very much. For me, it was just again going back to what we were talking about. Like, people don't believe in love anymore, and there's this again the collective cynicism, but it's because people are so used to dealing with these dysfunctional personalities that, you know, they don't understand on one hand what control they have over how they allow these things to affect them and for how long they allow these things to affect them for. Outside of that, this particular song, I just found myself writing it. Like, I had, I'll be real, I had a situation with a young lady, and it was just one of those situations where, okay, I know that there's an attraction here, but I also know that you got somebody who you go home to.
Right.
And old me would have been like, yo, fuck that nigga. You know what I mean? Like, hey, it's lit over here. You know what I mean? But the more mature, wiser version of myself is more so like, what effect is that having on her end? Like, in the past, we focused on what we're getting out of it.
Right.
It's about me. But what if it's not about me? What's happening over at her house? What's happening in her life?
Once you gone.
Right, exactly. And or even when I'm around, like, what are you losing trying to hold on to me? And so it just put me in a place writing the song where I was like, yo, Titanic, like, you're gonna lose yourself holding on to me. Like, realistically, we both know that there's room on that door, dog. You could have fit me on there, dog.
Could have got that
yeah, you could have fit me on that door, dog.
It wasn't like it was like a regular door. It was an 8x8.
Cherry wood, mahogany.
There's people that take photos on step and repeats.
Most definitely.
And that door was bigger than that.
Most definitely.
He's just hanging on. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Going back to what your song said, just letting go, right?
Right.
She was willing to let him go.
Most def. And therefore, like I don't know who all has remembers that movie or watched the whole thing, but like, Rose was living good towards the end of her life, dog. Like,
she had a great life.
She had a great life. And for me, it was just reminding a lot of these women.
Hey, hold on. That goes back to what you said about being her going home to somebody else. Mm-hmm. Rose had somebody she was going on. You was that swagged out suave dude that
I'm
just
the
popped
excitement.
Up. Yeah,
I'm the excitement.
That she didn't know she was missing. You know what I'm saying? She didn't know she was missing. It reminded me of another movie. You ever watched the movie Unfaithful?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, she had the
Richard Gere. Yeah.
The perfect
life, bro.
Like,
perfect
the kids
life.
was doing good. Husband was doing good. Everything was doing good. And it was just like some exciting moment that turned into something bigger than what she expected, similar to Rose. And at the end, both of them had to be willing to let something go if they was ready to let go. Rose was ready to let it go. She wasn't ready to let it go. He made her like, oh, you letting this go.
Right.
Kind of similar, like, oh boy, he just ain't never got to the other character. He just ain't never got to him.
Most definitely.
But at the end of the day, like you said, like, are you really thinking through the process of what you're affecting on the other end? Right. Most of us never think about what's happening on the other end because we're so selfish. Right. Where a lot of us are definitely selfish. We don't care what's going on. We don't care what's happening. As long as I get what I need right now, I'm good to go. Right. But the way you put that song was, like, I do care about what's going on the other end. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you feel? Like, what is your true feelings for you to keep doing this, knowing that eventually it's going to catch up to us? Right. And how are you going to deal with that? Because I don't plan on being with you. Right. You need to be with that. Right. You know
Facts, exactly. That's your whole life over there. That's your whole life. And this is just vacation, baby. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a lifer. Not right now, at least.
I'm bread and breakfast.
I mean? Exactly.
You got 2 days.
Facts,
bro. 2 days.
Yeah, but it was it's just a reminder to them that as much as they might deal with these dysfunctional and as cliche as the word is now, toxic men. Yeah. they also have a responsibility to themselves for how long they let that situation go on. So, it's like I got sister and cousins and homegirls, and I've heard the story time and time again. I want to leave him alone, but I love him and I can. And I'm like, no, you can't.
You can.
But you've convinced yourself that this is the type of love that you have to suffer for in order for you to be fulfilled, for you to get what you want, which ironically still isn't leaving you in that space.
Yeah, and it takes a while for you to find your way up out of that.
Most def.
You know what I'm saying? And two, it don't help where you every time you cut on any social media or any talk show these days that these are love goals, these are relationship goals. Some of these relationships, people get beat up in these relationships on TV.
Most definitely.
But that's a goal. You know what I'm saying? Getting verbally abused, mentally abused. You think that's cool. Then you sit here, everybody's giving these master therapy class advice. Ain't never took a course in their life.
Fast food therapy.
Right, but they telling you how to live a relationship. Then you look into their life, you're like, you ain't never been in one.
Right, you have no awareness or experience, or most of all, competency in dealing with this issue. Like that's what I realized with a lot of people. Like it really is in some ways a fake it till you make it sort of society. Like a lot of people really do get caught up on, and I don't think that it's their fault. And that's where empathy has to come into play for all of us. Like we're all collectively going through the same shared human experience. It's just affecting us in specific areas, some of us more than others.
Right.
And we can't help the fact that we're so caught up in the physicality that we don't peel it back to see like, okay, what's behind here? What's happening here? Like even my thought process as far as dating now is like, we gotta be cool ass friends first before we go anywhere, because we have to see each other at all these different phases and all these different positions and all these different scenarios. And my personal philosophy is you never know who you're really dealing with or who somebody really is until you see how they are when they don't get their way.
Right. No, that's deep, because that's kids, that's anybody.
Bro, what? You see that reel come out like, okay, all right.
No. Hey, Kevin, no. Well, fuck you.
Right, bro, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, that's how you really feel.
But speaking of no's, man, like a lot of people, they don't understand the power of that word. They really don't. Like there's a lot that I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. And before I would find myself in a place where I would have to explain it or I have to elaborate.
Or the only reason why, because it got guilted into it.
Right, exactly, exactly. And that guilt is a motherfucker, bro.
So you mean to tell me you're not?
Yeah.
Well, because shit, I was good with no.
Right.
It's almost like for people that have a job, right? And you call out of work, you call it using one of your sick days. You find yourself explaining to them, I'm sick, I'm coughing, I can't feel good. In reality, all you gotta do is say, I'm calling out sick.
Right.
But you're so guilted in hurt in other people's feelings and thoughts that you'll sit there and you'll play the game, and then now you done got your course set up in something when you get back to work. Like, how you feeling, huh?
Yeah.
Like, are you so back up?
Yeah.
You get back into a relationship, be like, so did you get it done? You be like, you what done?
You what done? Right. What we talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, all because originally you said no.
Right.
And now you got it. Now it's like, why though? And now you feel like you got to explain yourself. Well, you really don't have to.
Most definitely.
But you're guilted into that situation, and then you'll find yourself in a deeper situation, and then it get to a point to use the power and no, you're not even using it effectively. You get what I'm saying? Now they'll just be like, no. Why? No. For real, no. Like,
period.
I don't have no explanation. It's just a gut feeling. No. Something ain't gonna be right if I say yeah.
Most definitely.
Either on my end or your end. So just no.
That's the interesting part about it too. Like I found this in myself too. And that's the thing. When you start discovering these things about yourself, you start realizing how much they're present in other people. And what I realize is a lot of times I would create unintentionally a resentment for having compromised myself in that no that I decided to turn into a yes. Like I've said yes, even though I really didn't want to, and now I'm secretly mad at this person because.
And you find yourself distancing yourself away from that
Right,
person,
right, exactly. Exactly.
It's almost like, you know what? I don't feel like dealing with this shit no more. Like, I'd rather just,
right.
it's cool. Can we do this? Nah, that's cool. And then now you so you don't even want to say no so much that you're doing shit you normally would never do or like doing. And now you're in these places like this. What's wrong with you? None. You know, I got to break up with you.
Right.
And you could have been the right one for me. But them one moments that we had tension based off of something that I told you I didn't really want to do caused us friction. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Now we're not meshing no more. We could have been the perfect couple, but like you said, subconsciously, I done pivot already. I'm already working on something new. Like, I got to work on getting the fuck away from you.
Most definitely.
And you could have just been that right person for me.
It's interesting to me how many people, and this is something that I can say from experience, how many people stay in relationships that are guilt and anger ridden. Like, you know that there's an elephant in your house. Fuck the room. Yeah. There's an elephant in your house, right? But yet and still, you tiptoe around it by using either routine or the stories that we tell ourselves about. Oh, it might be like that, but you know, and it's just interesting to me how many people. Going back to what we were talking about the pandemic, it was like, for me, I feel like a lot of people found themselves while being stripped of that routine and all the trappings of the normalcy. Now they're left to have to look clearly at who they're with and be like, oh, whoa, this is what I've been doing. This is what I've been dealing with this whole time. Or you're left to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, dang, this is who I am.
I'm gonna tell you,
this
right?
This is what I got going on.
That pandemic was serious,
bro. What?
And that's not even just relationships. So I had to really look at my own kids. Like, now you homeschooling, you study, basically homeschooling,
right?
And you study, and I'm like, oh, you really ain't reading.
Yeah.
Oh, you just watching TV. Oh, you put it hold on. Is this what the teachers deal with every day? You know what I'm saying?
Facts, dude.
I'm like, yo, go do your homework. Okay. Thinking you doing the homework, and in reality, you're like, oh, you ain't did nothing.
Nothing at all.
Say you like 10 pages behind. Oh, I'm doing it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I need to go back to these teachers.
Yeah, and tell them I'm sorry.
Is this what you really? Because my own child giving me hell about work. I can imagine with you in a classroom with 50 other little sixth graders, and you're trying to get them to cooperate. Right. I commend you, because my oldest child had to worry about that. But if my youngest one at the time, she was in the 6th grade, I'm sitting here like, bro, I'm fighting you every day to do homework. Me and you, I'm in your face.
Yeah.
And you literally, I'm looking at your computer. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I know you should be doing something. But it ain't getting done.
Nah, then a whole lot of parents realized how smart they really wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wanna.
Yeah, when that new math came home, people was like, wait, what?
Man, tutor immediately. Yeah. Online tutors. I like, yo, I don't even know what this is. 5 times 5 is 25 in my world, but she told me I need to do some blocks and do some other blocks, and these blocks connect these blocks, and you add the blocks up. I spent 20 minutes on blocks. Why she just can't say 25? You know what? This is not for me.
Right.
So, hey, let me call some tutors. Like, I mean, like, it got real. Like, we got real with the kids, not with the wife, but the kids.
Yeah.
We was fine because we was pandemic and before pandemic.
Did you find that it was because this is what I found with a lot of people working, and this is something that I'm not sure on because of course I don't have any kids yet. But did you find it was hard to integrate that work or school into the home atmosphere?
Not for me.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Because my in-laws, my mother-in-law, been a teacher for 40 years. My wife been a teacher. My father-in-law was a teacher before he was a real estate agent. And my mother-in-law's sisters are still teaching for almost 30-something years.
Okay.
So all we ever did for my daughters, they never really grew up playing like the normal childhood games. or red light, green light, or they didn't grow up playing regular games. Every game they grew up playing had to do something with education. Add this up,
okay.
read this. So when it came to them getting in the house and doing educational stuff, it was already a norm because my oldest daughter, she was already when the pandemic happened, she was already doing online college courses, right?
Okay.
So she was already acclimated to doing stuff at home.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? The youngest one, she's a straight A student since birth. The problem is when you give certain, like you got that one child that's gonna do everything right, you got this one over here that's gonna be like, yeah, I do it when it's due.
Right.
She that one, I'm gonna get it done the day it's due.
Right.
The oldest one, I'm gonna get it done a month before it's due, so I ain't gotta worry about it. This one here, I need to get all my fun out. Let me go into soccer. Let me get practice. Go do my workouts. Like she's a gym rat. So she'll go play soccer. She'll go play basketball in the backyard. Go to a little gym in our garage, work out, do her drills, do all that before picking up that book.
Oh man.
You know what I'm saying? The other one just the opposite. She'll do all the schoolwork before picking up a ball. So I already know how they work. But when they got home, it was evident like, oh, so you're really focused on you're really a last minute person. But then you start seeing their personalities shine based off of us. Mm-hmm. My oldest child is like me. I don't like to really wait last minute. I like to schedule everything out, put it in order, get it done so I could be ahead. My wife, on the other hand, hey, I need you to get up right now, go get this done. I'm like, bro, that's gonna disrupt my day.
Right, right.
What are we trying to do? Why you didn't notice it? Well, I knew since last week, and you want me to get up and do it now?
Right.
Oh shit. You know what I'm saying? And it reflects into our kids subconsciously. They don't know it, but I see it like you're more so like your mom. So I know how to maneuver with you. You're more so like your dad in this aspect. I know how to maneuver with you. You know what I'm saying? And there's some things that my youngest one definitely do that I know. Like she got my whole attitude, so I know how to deal with that. My oldest one that's like me in certain aspects got my wife attitude. So now they got the best and worst of both of us. You know what I'm saying? So when I deal with them, I know how to deal with it. Okay, so you on that? Oh, so that's your attitude today? All right, so let me go ahead and handle you like this. This one, when she start acting like me, come on, me and you need to go outside.
Right.
How many push-ups can you do today? You got 50 in you?
Most
Give it up to me because we can get to 100. You got 25 burpees? Oh, keep talking. Keep on going. We can roll it. By the time it's over, then we all got to understand it. But yeah, that pandemic, but it showed me truly how much they are more like us in so many ways. And I know a lot of parents probably went through that. Like, oh, you sitting down with your kid and you like, you can't say, oh, this how he been, because they been acting that way. Right. But when you start really looking like, man, that joker really, that's the way I act. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
see you in there. Yeah. then you really can't say nothing. When you see you in there, yeah.
Right.
Ain't no way. Yeah,
Hold on. Gotta pause it.
Okay.
Everything has texture. Fabrics. Texture. Texture hair. The fabric of life. Fabrics. Touch. Texture versus race.
2 points actually. So it's interesting. You were talking about your girls. I'm a mix of both of those. So I start off like a month in advance.
Right.
But because of my ADHD, like I say my ADHD, but it's probably maybe about 50-50, 75-25. I'll start out with something, I'll plan it out, I'll map it out completely, and then as it comes to the actual act and process of working through it and putting it together, like I'll have 5 other things that I'll be like, oh, I should do that, or I got to do that, and then I'll go on that tangent, and next thing I know, like it's due tomorrow. Yeah, and I'm like, oh shit, hold on, hey, you know, and I'm trying to scramble everything last minute.
Right.
the interesting part is that it works for me. You know, the other point that I was gonna make it going back to the pandemic as it ties into that is being single during the pandemic made me aware of not only that, how much that affects everything, that thought process, that ADHD, but also how much of it, how much I affected the relationships that I have been in. Like whether it's friendships, whether it's family members, whether it's romantic relationships, right. It forced me rather to have to sit there and be like, oh, whoa, okay, I did do that. And regardless of what I want to tell myself, regardless of how I want to try to swing it and romanticize
nobody
it,
ever want to tell the truth. Yeah.
You gotta deal with your shit, bro. You know, and that's I went to the point I got to tat it on my hand, bro. Like subtle reminders, bro. Deal with your shit. Always. My thing now is because I spend a lot of time putting things on the back burner. Oh, I'll deal with it later. Same thing as the dirty room example. Like, you know, if you don't unpack your shit, you just keep throwing that bag. You know, them clothes gonna pile up a quarter, half, whole. Then you got a room full of dirty clothes. Now I'm like, wash that shit today. Today, fold that shit today, put it away today. You know, and what I found is in challenging myself that way, number one, it keeps me sharp because I'm always working to find a solution. But also it integrates itself furthermore and furthermore into my processes in other areas. So the same way that it would be, I can clean my room next week or whatever, or a couple days from now, and next thing I know, a month has gone by. I've applied the contrast to my music now. So as opposed to, I can like work on this, or I can record this, or I can come up with this concept, or I can come up with this rollout later. I'm like, let me sit down right here, right now, while I have the thought process, while I have the energy and the focus, and, you know.
Get it done. How hard it is to find the energy to even do it, though? Because we got energy to do the fast shit.
Yeah.
But we never have energy to do the work we need to cleanse ourselves mentally, physically, just period. We don't really find the energy because it gets tiring when you just got to unpack all your dirty laundry, you know what I'm saying? So how hard it is for you just to find that energy so you can move forward?
I'll be honest, I started noticing the biggest change for me once I started trying to be more and more so active as far as my fitness went. I think that there's a direct correlation with all of that. I feel like you understand that, you know, gym bro.
Yeah, I was in the gym.
Yeah. I just feel like iron sharpens iron with mind and body too. There were changes that I was noticing. There were things that I was making myself aware of and were being made aware to me prior to that process. But I feel like the leaps and bounds really happened once I started like making a commitment and a dedication to be consistent in going to the gym 4 to 6 times a week.
Right.
And at that point, then it became, my thought process became, who cares if you don't want to do it today? What choice do you have? And at that point, I was like, okay, if I don't do it, it's not like somebody else is going to do it for me. It's not like somebody's going to give me like, yeah, you got an extra day. Like, that's not going to happen. Life don't work like that.
No.
And once I started applying that to the gym, it started just integrating itself in other places where I was like, okay, so even though I don't feel like writing this song, and even though I'm not in the energy of it, let me just listen to some beats, let me get into the mode where I would write a song, and the next thing I know, I got like 1 or 2 all the way written out. You know, the creativity isn't hard for me. It's just the hardest part was being just as gung-ho when I'm not creative as I am when I am creative. Because for me, like when I'm on go, I can just go. But when I'm not, in the past, it's been infinitely harder for me to be like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. It was just like, man,
if I get it done today,
you know what I mean?
That show look real good right now.
You know, as a smoker, don't get me wrong, like that's something that I had to get to the point of too, where I had to come to the realization that I was letting things use me and I wasn't using them.
Right.
I wasn't using the resources. The resources had become vices. And once I came to that understanding, it was, okay, in what ways is this advancing me, and in what ways is this inhibiting me? And if it's inhibiting me in a way where I don't advance, then I need to remove it quickly, cut it off at the root right now. If it's something that allows me to advance without inhibition, then keep going for it.
Right.
And then finding that wiggle room in the middle of, okay, do I need to dial it back? Do I need to take it away completely? Do I need to have it fit into a routine in a certain way? And I think that same methodology applies to how I operate in general.
And that works because simple fact, one, going on the gym, I started going to the gym because damn near the same reason you was going, but I was like, if I could commit to this every day and just get up at 6 or 7 and just make it every day, and I started in November, and just get there at least 4 days out the week, if I could commit to that, then I could commit at 8 o'clock to go ahead and get all these scheduled posters done.
Mm-hmm.
Then I could commit at 10 o'clock to get all this done. Then I could commit to eating healthy. So I'm eating this at this, and the more I find myself going to the gym, the more and more I found myself getting more disciplined and more consistent at what I need to do. Like when I do it, because it all started with that. Like, I just got to get there. Once I get there, if I get home by this time, this is what I got to do at this time. If I can get that done by this time, this is what's next. And it helped me develop a solid routine. When I ain't gonna say solid, because some days,
hey, it's solid enough. I see you every week, brother.
Yeah,
we good.
So, but it's just like it helps get me. It helps me start guiding in the direction where I want to get to, right? Sure. And then the other thing with the vices, right? Like you said, it was using me more than I was using it.
Most definitely.
And it didn't kick in for me until I seen somebody, it kicked in for somebody else, right? And I'm sitting here like, dang, he's smoking every day. He drinking. I can drink. I wasn't no smoker like that, but I could drink. Then I found myself like, why am I sluggish every day? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I'm doing the same thing. Why am I moving? Like, why am I waking up like this?
Most definitely.
Why do I? And then as I started dialing things back, the last thing I dialed back was the alcohol, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everything else, I was like,
oh, it's not the alcohol's fault. Don't blame the alcohol. No, leave her out of this.
Right.
Yeah.
And it all kicked in around November because I'll go out there and grill in my yard and I'll be drinking and grilling, drinking and grilling. And then once I like, you know what? Now I'm going to the gym. And then I didn't do it like I say I wanted to stop drinking, but now I'm going to the gym and I'm drinking a lot of water. Mm-hmm. And then after right around January time, I was like, you know what?
I feel
I ain't
great.
sluggish.
Yeah.
I ain't eating like all the breads. I ain't eating all the snacks, and I'm not eating that, but I can breathe. I ain't drink in almost 3 months. Mm-hmm. Oh, you was the problem.
Knows
that. You know what I'm saying? You was really the.
No, I quit almost 2 years ago. Yeah. For me, it was like, cause I know, we were talking earlier, like I know for me, it just got to the point where drinking really didn't do anything for me.
Right.
I've always liked the taste of alcohol. Still do, honestly, but it just, again, going through that space in the pandemic, it forces you to look back, and I had to really consider most, if not all, the really bad decisions I made in my life were made on alcohol, with alcohol in my system somehow. And so I was like, okay, so what happens if I just remove it? So I would go to places, and then eventually it got to the point where I started becoming more aware of myself and what I liked and what I didn't like, without the inclination to drink, there was no reason for me to be in a club or a lounge. Right? So I would be just sitting there like Ricky Bobby, like, what do I do with my hands? You know, like
I've been down with
yeah, dog, and I'm like sitting here like, oh, okay,
Hey,
this ain't really it no more. Like
it's now 10 o'clock. You looking around, people dancing.
Yeah.
But you ain't drinking, but now you more observant, like.
and then you start seeing those little intricacies and those little nuances as far as how people operate and how this culture around this thing operates.
Right.
And how you realize, okay, if you were to remove that, none of this
Is happening.
is happening.
And that
at
lets
all.
you know how toxic that shit
For
really
sure,
is.
for sure,
Right?
for
'Cause
sure.
I used to be like, when I got to that point like you was, I like, man, you know what? I can do this shit at the house.
Facts, dude.
I don't
Facts.
and it's to a point now, if it's not a gig that I gotta go work or an event I gotta go be at, or I'm traveling, even when I'm on the road, I'm not even really drinking at all. Like,
Right.
I probably go jump rope in my hotel room. For real.
Facts,
You know what I'm
dog.
saying? Because I'm looking like, would this really go down if we wasn't drinking? Like,
Yeah.
would this party really be a party? And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just go in my room, watch anime,
Most
edit.
definitely, my guy.
You know
My
what I'm
guy.
saying? Edit what I need to edit.
Most def.
And even like I said, I be on the road, and first thing, soon the event over, I'm like, yo, I'm going back to my room.
Right.
Oh nah, come and kick it.
Yep.
Nah, I don't want to do the team dinner, none of the kick it, because in my mind, you ain't gonna see what I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can be more productive getting the stuff I need to get done and getting caught up versus me out here partying, chilling. We out here drinking, everybody having a good time, go to our respective areas when it's over
Mm-hmm.
with, and it feel like I just wasted 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
Like,
I'm the exact same way, but I will tell you, going back to what we were talking about earlier, like it's interesting how something like physical exertion and pressure allows you to be more convicted in that no, because that no would have been very different had you not had that structure and that foundation built up for you to be like, nah, I got something better than this.
right.
Because that's the thing that I realize with most people, like most people, they won't give up something unless they got something better going on for them. That's why a lot of people like are on this health tip, because they're really seeing, yo, I feel alive again. I feel like I got like my second win. I feel like I'm
Especially
a new
over the age
person.
40.
Bro, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
I know.
I ain't there yet, but yeah, I think that most people, if not all people, if they were to indulge in some sort of strenuous physical activity, there will be a lot less situations where we see people just blow up and go crazy.
Right.
Everybody's human, so of course everybody has that capacity, but I think that the same way that it applies for me with the music, if we're able to create a change, we can make the change sustainable. And if we're able to be better, we will continue to make everything else better by extension.
Right.
You know, like when I wrote my book, my whole thing was, why is everybody such assholes to each other? And I came to realize, like, okay, the times when I've been mean or I've been unkind or I've been, to me, unsatisfactory in my my communication or my engagement with other people, is because I had things going on in me that I needed to deal with, that people were either unintentionally triggering me or intentionally triggering me. And I was...
And at the time, you mind they was doing
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? And the time, like, oh, everybody keep fucking, you know what I mean?
Why you won't leave me the fucking
Right,
alone?
I'm tired, bro. What more do you want from me? Like, yeah, dog. And it's interesting. As you go through the steps, you start seeing parallels between all these different avenues of life. You know, I think if we were to really take a close look at, I feel like as an artist, you would agree that art imitates reality, vice versa, right? I think that if you take a good look at the movies that have been made, the music that's being made, I'd say the last like 5 years, we are all like hurt we are all filled with trauma. And we all have a responsibility to deal with that trauma so that way we don't allow, that's the key word, that's a key word, allow that trauma to affect the other people
around you.
Exactly.
Or the ones you about to bring into this world.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that's probably in what you just said, even like the last 5 years with just movies alone, because there's a lot of movies, a lot of music where people are really hurt.
Most definitely.
And looking for help. And you can hear it in the music that some of them looking for help. And that's probably, and art do reflect reality. And that's probably why I like to watch a lot of animes, to be real with you.
Likewise,
because
I'm an anime fiend, bro.
most of the time in animes, it's all about government. And I like politics.
Right, same.
You know what I'm saying?
Same.
So if you really want to know real government structure, it's not one anime you can really tell me that did not evolve like circle around government, politics,
some sort of sovereignty, yeah.
Yep, colonization, stealing other people's land, property,
all of them,
money,
right?
Everything.
That's actually a good point. I never thought about it like that. Yeah. See, for me, the anime was like my love of anime, and it kind of warped me growing up, if I'm being honest, because when you're watching anime and then you go out into real life, you cannot interact with folks like that. Like they'll be like, "Bro, get your weird ass the fuck out of here." You know what I mean? Like, there's a level of empathy that people have, that the characters have in anime, where I really do consider you as a person, your feelings, what ways I'm dealing with you, that outside of anime and over here in the Western hemisphere, we really aren't programmed to have that consideration because everything is
aggressive.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything's aggressive.
Most definitely.
With our whole culture, and not just our culture, the way how people came over here originally was aggressive.
Most definitely.
How we was brought up, not just black people, I'm talking about white, Indians. Ever since whoever first stepped foot on the United States of America, it all been aggressive ever since that point. So if you look at other countries where they show love, and that's why I say, even watching anime, most of it's all about love and politics.
Right.
Like you say, they walk outside, hey, how you doing? That's why I like the South versus up north.
Bro. I was in Chicago one time and I said, I was like, how you doing? What, you good, bro? I was like, yeah, like,
you're like, all right.
I was like, my bad, bro. Like, bro was ready to jump on your boy, like, for real. And it's just, like, I got homies from New York, and it's also interesting going back to what we were talking about the physicality, how people who grow up in colder climates, because they are that way and because they have to grow up in such a harsh environment, a lot of times the stuff that would, say, affect a person who hasn't gone through those things, like, those people would just be super overwhelmed, whereas the average New Yorker, like, they see people getting beat up in the street and people fucking in the street and people getting shot and killed and everything on a daily basis, to the point where they like, oh, okay, whatever. You know, whereas in the rest of, like, in other parts of the United States, like California, it's like, you know what I mean? It's completely different. Completely different.
Yeah. I know that each city I go to, hood recognize hood, regardless of where you go to.
Facts.
But at the end of the day, it's almost like a different culture shock in each city.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's like, I don't understand, like, when people making music, why your music sound the same these days sometimes. Yours sound real smooth and it's vibrant. It's got a vibe.
That, bro. I appreciate that.
Take your music outside of that. A lot of people starting to sound and look the same, but everybody from different parts. And I've seen a lot of these cities. That's not what's going on in your city.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're looking from and that's the thing about the visual.
Right.
We're so caught up on the visual. So, and I found myself as an artist at some points feeling like I needed to pander to what was popular. But I came to realize it wasn't representative of who I really was. Like, I don't think that I could make a song about a bitch shaking her ass. Like, I just, like, don't get me wrong, bitches exist, but I don't put that in the music because, like, who I'm talking to isn't them. I'm talking to the woman who's in my life, who's in my family, who is out there, who is having a human experience the same way as I am opposite to me. At least in this particular project, but just as a whole, like, that's where I feel like we have to really dig deep and figure out, okay, what is the issue at hand here? Like, this is probably one of the few podcasts I see that doesn't seem to have almost an implicit and an inherent bias as it pertains to the opposite sex. Like, it seems like there's almost these dueling factions that I see in the social atmosphere nowadays, where the sexes are being pitted against each other when we both have the same problem.
We all got the same problem.
And the moment that we realize that, then we have a common ground from which to, grow from. But if we don't acknowledge that we have that common ground, and it's always your fault and it's always her fault, it's you're never able to meet in the middle.
And it's probably easy for me to have them conversations. Like you said, like when you watch the podcast and I'm talking to females or I'm talking to the male, I've been married for 18 years.
Right.
And I work with, most of my clients that I work with are 90% women. So you can hear the stories, you can hear the conversations, you can see what people are dealing with. And it makes it easier for me because I've been in these situations. I ain't married 18 years, but been with her since I was 19, 20. You know what I'm saying? I'm 43 now. So
yeah, man.
She done known me half of my life.
Been more married almost as old as some of the people you interact with. Yeah, so, bro.
When I'm hearing these conversations, I'm interacting, we on the podcast, and they're talking about healing and growing. Like, I get it. I understand. And then I'm raising girls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I used to be
How
that.
difficult is that? Like what's your stance right now? Because I hear it from the standpoint of my friends who have like little girls, right? But you have teenagers and soon to be adult girls. So like, given where the world is right now, like, do you find that you have a higher or deeper responsibility to what you teach them or what they're exposed to?
I do, but not higher. It's probably because the way I was raised. Mm-hmm. I learned to be more open to them, transparent as possible.
Sure.
Because I'd rather be the one to tell you this, that, and this versus you going somewhere else and you hearing some teenage perspective that never been in them situations.
Right.
Like
clueless, like, some clueless kid who's just like, yeah.
Oh, just because, you're gonna have sex one day. You're 16, 17. What makes you want to have it? Like, what are you interested in about it? What type of feelings you get when you talking to a boy? Like, if you're really interested in this boy, like what's running through your mind that make you say, ooh, I really like him? What are they saying back to you? Because I'm going to tell you everything that's going on in his mind. Right? In his mind.
Yeah.
In his mind.
Yeah.
He just happy that one. First of all, in high school, most boys are just happy they even talking to a girl.
Facts.
Two, if they even get that close to a girl, and if they got swag or no swag, their main objective is to get a kiss. Once you get past the kiss, it's the booty.
Yeah.
Once you get past the booty, it's working your hands further down.
Most definitely.
Once you get your hands further down, now it's like, I'm ready to go for third base, go to home run.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Third.
If you can get it that far, and I'm really transparent with my daughters, like, yo, these are the intentions.
Most definitely.
And I'll tell them, like, yo, at the end of the day, if you're gonna find love and you're looking for love, one, I'm not gonna interfere with anybody you love or who you like. I'm not gonna put my perception of who you should be with, because if I got to do that, that means I didn't do my job as a father and letting you know what your expectations should be. I should be your example. And if I did my job as being your example, then whoever you find should live up to your example, right?
Right.
So I go beyond the call of duty. Like, you want to go out? Let's go here. You want to do this? Let's do this.
Right.
We travel out the country at least 5 times a year, and in the States, so we do like almost 10 vacations a year, really.
Word.
So if you go on a date, oh yeah, let's go up the street. Nah, I'm good. My daddy can take me here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got that expectation.
Already set that bar. Yeah,
the bar set.
Yeah.
Now, only thing left after you go on dates, the only thing left is sex.
Right.
End of the day, relationships and sex.
Right.
And then 2, you got to figure out what you want. You got to figure out nobody should pressure you. I'd rather tell you and walk you through that process than some little kid that just learned it 30 days ago.
Right.
Prime example, pandemics happen, everybody teaching master classes. You only been in this Clubhouse came
and went, bro.
But this is the kicker. Clubhouse was on the app for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And there's people teaching master classes already. Prime example. So now you're a teenager and you about to experience this, your body changing, your growing hormones kicking in. I'd rather me and your mama walk you through this than somebody that just got this Clubhouse experience 2 weeks trying to tell you how this is gonna go.
Most def.
And if you run into any situation, I'm gonna be here to advise you. If you don't feel comfortable enough, that means I didn't do my job of making you comfortable to talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Or your uncles, or your granddaddy, because we are your male figures. So when they bring one of the little boys come to the house, like, I ain't worried.
Right.
I know how much work you got to put in even to get to what you think. And then two, I got to tell them, high school, middle school is practice. It's rare that you find your high school love and marry your high school love and be with your high school love for life.
Legit.
This is literally practice. Practice on what you learning to like. When you get to college, that's when you're going to really experiment. High school, some people experiment early, get into the little all this putting kissing and shit. You experience that in high school.
Most definitely.
Well, that's practice. That's like you made the B team. College, you either jump into JV or varsity. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because in college, the age gap is different. It goes from usually 17 to 18 to 30. Yeah. So you really in college gonna get an opportunity to spend several different age groups that's gonna approach you different.
Most definitely.
How are you gonna deal with these situations that approach you different? You're gonna deal with somebody your age, 18 to 21 in college, your JV. It's gonna be them experienced 25s and 26 and 24s. When they come to you, that's when you need to.
Everything has texture. Fabrics. Texture. Texture hair. The fabric of life. Fabrics. Touch. Texture versus race.
Is when you get to that after 23, really 23 and 26, when you find them guys and you're still under 20, this were all the knowledge that I gave you is supposed to kick in. For sure. And if you're not sure, call me. You know what I'm saying? And if you're definitely not sure when you call me, I'll come and visit. Right. I ain't gonna say don't date them. I ain't gonna say don't do this. But these are the things that's gonna walk you through. Like, because I can't tell you don't do this at that point. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, I can tell you and feel good about it. But then turn around, say y'all out here living like Spencer James on All American. Y'all on counters and shit doing nasty shit, you know what I'm saying? I was in them shoes, me and your mom was in them shoes. That's how we got together. You know
that's an important point though. Like you brought it up when we were talking before we started recording about the importance of the family structure. And I think that's something that's lacking. Like you're better able to prepare your children when you have multiple perspectives to be able to teach them from. Right. Especially if you have benevolent and mature examples on what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Whereas I think we're seeing a lack of that as far as the parenting. Nothing on them. It's just, again, like we talked about earlier, if they were never taught that, they don't have the capacity to teach that. Right. And I think part of what I want to accomplish with the art, with anything I do, is bringing people back together. Because the reality is that as much as we want to say it, as much as I say that I'm perfectly fine being by myself, I love my alone time, I know that companionship is something that I do want. And I know that most people, regardless of what they say, if they had the type of person who really fulfilled them in the ways that they needed, we all would want that.
And that only comes, one, we was created to love and be with each other.
I agree.
One, we was created for that.
I agree.
Two, they only saying that, people say that I'm good by myself because you didn't find the person you were supposed to be with, right? I thought I was good and single when I was by myself, and then something, I don't know what it was, it clicked in my head, like, and all my friends I talked to that getting married, like when she walked in the room, something in my head said, hey, that's the person you're supposed to marry. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, because I was living my best life. And I mean, when I say best life, man, I got cars, candy paint, that's when all the dumps and shit was popping. I'm in the clubs, I got all the girls I can get to, I want, right. And then something just clicked in my head and said, oh, that's your wife right there. Right. And it just stopped. Then I started putting in the work, and then work, and then work. And it wasn't easy as the rest of them. Boy, I had to work. For sure. To the point I was like, man, I don't even think I want to be with you no more.
Right. Well, anything worthwhile comes with sacrificing.
Yeah. I sacrificed a lot of wisdom.
I'll tell you, like, I feel like I've had that feeling. It didn't, or it hasn't worked out yet. Right. But I get what you mean. And that's why I say, like, I have been in danger of being a cynic to the point where I've been like, fuck love, I don't need anybody. I'm okay with the bare minimum in terms of what I'm getting from whoever I'm dealing with. Bare minimum as far as I only want this one thing from you, pussy. You know what I mean? But in reality, like, it was that particular situation where I was like, no, okay, like, I do still believe in this. I do still want this. And going through that experience, it made me realize how many other people want to and need to go through that change in perspective. And I think that's why the music has to change, the art has to change, the things that we talk about has to change. Like, don't get me wrong, dog. Like, I love SZA, Summer Walker, my dog, but I feel like we have to get to the point where we stop romanticizing the toxicity and dysfunction, and we start calling it out for what it really is and dealing with it and stomping it out right there, then and there, so it doesn't continue to show up. Because the only way that the pattern happens is if you don't do what you needed to in the moment, to make sure that it doesn't have the ability to come back.
And a lot of people are not willing to put in that work to do it. And so, first of all, SZA and them, great music, depressing for me.
Likewise, bro. That new album, like, it'll come on and I'll be like, I'll vibe for a little bit and I'm like, oh shit, okay, all right.
Oh, she said, she's gonna kill him too.
I was like, oh, okay.
He wasn't kidding. I might have hurt people. I might have hurt so many feelings that felt the same way.
I will take the point.
I get it, but how many other girls are feeling the same way you feeling, and that's not getting the healing? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? How are you helping them heal through this? Besides just saying this is what you feel like doing, but people need healing, and a lot of people don't know where to get healing from, or they trying to heal themselves through the music, and then they healing themselves through people that's not around them. That's why I say it's very important for parents to teach their kids on how to heal, how to love, how to be themselves, how to understand themselves, how to communicate, how to be transparent. I grew up where parents were secretive. You know what I'm saying? Not my personal parents, but a lot of my parents was just like, they was open. Like, my parents was like straight up. Straight. It wasn't no chasing. Yeah. Like, yo, this is what's happening. This is gonna happen. Oh, you're getting all these scholarships. You better not get the girl pregnant. You know how you get her pregnant? This is gonna happen. These are the things that involve her getting pregnant. Don't bring nobody home pregnant. Your future relies on this. Or don't do this. If you do this, this is the consequence. Like, my parents were real transparent. So, but I knew a lot of other, my cousins and them parents wasn't that transparent. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, nah, just don't do it. They're gonna tell you no without telling you the details of no. So a lot of them found out through us. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'd rather my kids come to me and I talk to them, because I grew up with cousins that would come to me and be like, yo, big cuz, what's up with this? But by that time, I'll be knee deep, and I'm like, shit, let me tell you, boy, you ain't doing that yet. Let me tell you what need to happen. Woo! You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't to be harmful, but at the same time, I was young. I didn't know no better.
Right.
And it was exciting to me. So it was exciting to me, and they all looked up to me, made it exciting for them. So in order for if their parents was transparent with them, then they could have been like, yo, cuz that ain't exciting. My mama said this, $1.
Right.
And I know what your mama said, $1. And then we all could have had a conversation versus me being the head guy and telling you, like, boy, I'm going out with Keisha tonight.
Right.
Yo, I see y'all. What y'all doing? What you mean? You ain't doing nothing yet? Like, come on, cuz. You know what I'm saying? You ain't never rolled up one yet?
Right.
Roll up what? Oh, you ain't never smoked.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hey, try this. Now I gotta take you home. You high as a bird, right? And I gotta explain to my auntie why you high. Because my parents took the time out to tell me these are the effects of drugs. Mm-hmm. These are the effects. Now, if you choose to, it's gonna happen. But I was on a football team, basketball team, wrestling team. That's what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I won't lie. Like I went through like a whole exploratory phase, or exploration phase, whatever the terminology. With drugs, like, and it was all kind of. I kind of attribute the art and my thought process about things to that, because I will say that drugs, like, of course, I ain't never done anything like too crazy or too hard. You know, I feel like I've done the playground shit. You know what I mean? Like the run of the mill. You know, no needles, no. You know what I mean? When you're in that space, you come to realize through all the cloudiness and all the inebriation, you come to realize like what you can handle and what you can't.
Right.
Because when you like a couple milligrams in and it's starting to beat your ass, you sitting there like, oh.
You saying milligrams?
Yeah.
In my day. It's 5 of us in the room. There's 30 blunts going in the circle. And you know, weed ain't. Well, it was weed then.
Yeah.
It was weed. What we used to call it? Reefer. It was reefer then.
Yeah, reefer.
Now it was like, yo. First of all, we used to get a whole bag, right?
Yeah.
That's all day.
Yeah.
And it took us all day to get to it. This one little 8 gram.
Yeah.
This 1 8 gram did the job of 30. So that lets you know that's how shit changed too. But
it lets you know what type of man you are, bro. Yeah. Like it really does, bro. It really does. Like and for me, I won't lie, shrooms have been the most influential and beneficial to me in that shrooms are like, to me, weed if it could be better.
Right.
Like weed is like your everyday thing. Like weed is like, oh, we gonna go to Atlanta for the weekend, right? Whereas shrooms is like, we're gonna go to Dubai and live in the Burj, like rent a room in the Burj Khalifa.
And I do want to clear up too, right? Mushrooms do not make you hallucinate like they used to tell you back in the day. No. Where you start seeing shit jumping off the wall. I did it before.
Yeah.
I had the little chocolate bars.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't see Spider-Man coming up.
No, man.
It was more so like, and I don't know if anybody ever experienced ecstasy back in the day. It's ecstasy without the side effects.
Well, yeah. For me,
it
like,
just feel good.
So for me,
and I ain't telling y'all to go ahead and do drugs.
Likewise.
I said back in the day.
Back in the day, right. For me, ecstasy was it's kind of like what you said. It was more so you get the happiness, but the downside of it was so like, it was like, this is nasty, bro.
When you wake up, you're like,
it's like. It's like, what is this? Why is the
last night? You know what I'm saying? Why is my body feeling like the whole body about to just explode and throw up? Like,
yeah, like ecstasy is like pure happiness, right? It's like happiness in a whatever way you take it. But shrooms, number one, like you can't really. I don't think you can take too much unless you're just like insane. But for me, it was more so like it gave me the happiness, but it gave me a gratitude, an overwhelming sense of gratitude where, because it's such an introspective substance, it really put me in a place where it's like, oh, I do have that. I do have like good friends who I have in my life. I do have like a good relationship with my family. I do have like a job that I feel good about going to.
Right.
I do have something that I'm passionate about that fulfills me. Like I do have these things. And because I have these things, like I lead a good life.
You can see that in Mike Tyson too when he
Definitely.
When he watched the hot box.
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm on my shrooms, but then he's really just in a happy place.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'd be talking to his guests, he'll say some real great shit, just be sitting there just like that old Mike.
Yeah.
Like the 90s Mike.
Yeah, that was a terrifying man.
Right. Like you're not joking with Mike.
No.
But now on his show, now he relaxed, calm, older, mature, like we were saying. When we go back to that conversation, we were talking about parents. Like, we were raised different. Parents, you start realizing as you get older, your parents didn't even have the real answer. They didn't know. Like, they used to tell you this, this, and this. And when you get older, you're like, man, that shit ain't real. And then as they get older, they mature. And they realize that what they were saying was like far-fetched. And they start treating your kids the way they should have treated you.
Right.
And you're sitting here looking at them like, nah, bro, spank that ass.
Hell yeah.
You want to spank me if that was me? Spank the ass.
That's right now.
I'm jealous. Because they get the best part of you.
Right.
I didn't get this part. They get all the love. Grandma, grandpa, eating ice cream. I couldn't even touch your buttercake and ice cream. But they can go straight to the refrigerator, eat your ice cream, drink your Pepsi. I got an ass whooping over that Pepsi.
Thanks, bro.
Nah, don't do that. But as they got older, you start to realize, like, they was learning too.
Right.
I don't know, did they have the examples to teach them what they had to grow into?
Right.
Was we their teachers? Because when they say the students become the teachers, we was their students. And they was learning every day.
Right.
And it depends on what type of kids you got. Me and my brothers were rough.
Yeah.
So I know they caught hell with all three of us. They didn't catch no hell with my sister. Because she was the baby girl, and our older sister, they did everything right. But us, the boys, shit.
Rough and tumble, boy. Yeah.
Wake up, sneak out the house, stealing cars, in them streets. Like, we was living our best life. So now I think they learned all that by watching and how they handle us. Now when they get the grandkids, it's like heaven over there.
Most of
And I'll be sitting on there jealous because that's not what I got. You know what I'm saying? That's not the love. And I love my parents. And they was great examples. Like I said, they was transparent. But I just get a little jealous because I'm looking at my daughters and my nephews. It's like 18 grandkids. And they having the time of their life. And I'm over here like, dang, why didn't you clean up that mess right there? I had to clean that mess up. Oh, you gonna let them play the TV and the radio at the same time? Oh, you gonna let them run in and out the house at the same time too? We ain't gotta close the screen though.
Right.
Who the hell is this house, bro? This ain't how I grew up. And I be coming out, open now, walk in the house, close that door, cut that radio off. You pick one, goddamn, go wash them dishes.
Thanks.
And then come my mama. Why are you yelling at the kids? They're fine. If I had a problem with it, this is my house. I'm sitting here like, I got a problem. This is how you raise me.
I learned this from you.
Right. And then that's when the kid keeps saying, like, this is the examples. They had to grow and mature and understand for them in order to get to that point. So I'm at that point now, even my own girls. I fly off the handle every now and then, but most of the time I just try to be transparent because I never know when I'm gonna get my grandkids popping over here and I'm gonna do the same exact thing. And they do say, I got a lot of older friends too. They got grandkids, that's newly granddaddies. And the first thing they say is like, in my mind, I'm like, once my kids get out the house, I'm good. I'm traveling the road, I'm podcasting in the RV, I'm going countryside. You know, so on the weekend, hey David, you need anything though? All right, we about to go podcast 3 days on the road, somewhere in the woods, set up camps, we camping, we podcasting, and we head back to our respective house and go back to work. In my mind. But I listen to them and they like, man, I found new life, man, I'm Papa. Like, you what? Papa. Man, my grandson coming over, I'm good. Like, well, you raising another kid? Like, I thought we lived to get away from it. But a lot of them found new life and new energy into that. You know what I'm saying? And that just go back to, like, swing all this back in circle, like, even like that reflects towards your music. It's all about maturing, growing, understanding, and finding that happy place in your life to where you're mature and you can look back and say, I did the work.
Right.
Now let me help you.
Right.
And that's what I get when I listen to them songs that you were playing earlier. And it was just a great feeling, a great vibe, because a lot of us haven't really peaked to that point yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But once you peak, then you can start creating great stuff the way you created.
Most definitely. For me, humility is a big thing too, because I never want to come across like I'm telling somebody what they can do, because when you do that, whether you're unaware of it or not, like, your advice is absolute jack shit.
Right.
Because you're speaking from a singular perspective. You have no facts, no awareness of the subtleties and the specificity that exists in this specific person's situation. So from my standpoint, I just look at it and I apply the same sentence that I learned as a life coach. Like, you guide, you don't command. Like, it's not like I can't, if I told you to draw a picture of yourself and I drew it for you, like, I don't really get a picture, and you can't really get a picture of what you really look like or what you feel like you look like.
Right.
You have to do it for yourself. And then at that point, I can be like, whoa, why aren't you smiling? Why aren't you, at that point, then we can add other things to it that we need to touch up and get rid of whatever, or curb whatever, either limiting beliefs, dysfunction, or whatever else is present. But the problem is that there's too much arrogance in the marketplace, and people are speaking from opinion as if it's fact, and talking to these people as if and convicting these people as if their way of doing it isn't the right way, or is the wrong way, in such a way where people are like, they're taking a few steps forward in a way that works best for them, and they're looking at these other people critique them, and they're like, oh, well, let me go back and try it their way, and then they find themselves in the flux and in the confusion of where they end and the other person begins.
Right, because they took the time out to hear somebody else instead of following what was really in your heart. Mm-hmm. You allow somebody else's thoughts and opinion. That's why I always say, well, if you got an idea, don't tell nobody to do it. Because it goes back to a story I heard before I close this out, though. I can't remember. I don't know if it was on YouTube. Either way, it was about these two boys were playing by the river. One of a tree branch fell on the little boy. The little boy was trapped in the water. Whoa, what the hell? Okay, that's different. Don't come over here, buddy. Anyway, but so it came down to these two boys were playing by the river, and then the tree branch, it was storming, and they were playing in the water, and the tree branch fell and hit one of the little boys. The little boy got trapped under the tree branch. The water's steady coming real fast. There's an old man sitting on the side. He's watching the whole thing. The little boy that didn't get trapped, picks up the branch off the other little boy, throws the branch, and now both of the little boys safe on land. But by that time, the ambulance done came, the police done came, and the police and them was trying to pick up the branch themselves. The branch was heavy as shit. They told that they was talking around the old man. The police or fire, whatever it was, I can't remember. It was one of them certain people. And they said, damn, there's no way this little boy should be able to pick this tree branch up off that kid. He said, I wonder how. The old man said, because there was nobody here to tell him he couldn't. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So allowing other people's thoughts and perspectives to hit your thought process can alter the way you would have done it if you would have just did it without conversing or hearing other people's thoughts and opinions that has nothing to do with the vision you was given.
For sure. And
it disrupts you and causes you to start second guessing and doubting and believing in who you are versus I could have just did it, had a great time, enjoyed doing it, been happy about it, and dealing with them results versus not dealing with the results you could have had based on other people's opinion. See what I'm saying?
Most definitely that childlike perspective. We gotta get back to it, bro. Gotta have hope again.
Right.
Gotta have faith again for sure.
But I appreciate you coming on the show, my boy. You know what I'm saying? Good conversation,
Most
man.
definitely, bro. I appreciate you having me.
And we're gonna do it again.
Most definitely.
And this concludes the episode of No BS Podcast, man. We appreciate y'all coming. Appreciate y'all being a part. Appreciate Max stopping through, having a good time with me. And we are out. Peace.